Safety glasses on.
Oh my God. Finally. I'm sorry it's hot, but thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
So with any good movie, there's an intro and how everything started. So I want to just jump right into your origin story, because I know you didn't start with AArrow. However, you were kind of already in the world of science spinning in some ways. So I'll let you take over from that, or for that part. I guess you can start as far back as you want, to be honest. You can even start off with like how you ended up in the world of science spinning and then moved into AArrow. But yeah, ultimately it's on you.
Okay. All right, for sure. So basically, I moved out of my mom's house when I was 19. At the time, I didn't really have any money. I just I had welfare, whatever, county. I had a job. It was just the crappiest job ever. I was working at a golf course for literally 1 hour a day, for minimum wage, which was, I think, $10 or $11 an hour. No days off unless it rained, and even if it rained, like, it was just more work the next day. It was terrible. And then also financial aid, 'cause I was going to college at the time, Los Angeles Southwest College. I just took all that money. I had a friend I used to hang out with, 'cause I didn't like being home. Used to go over game night. There was a vacancy in his apartment complex. Took all the money I had, moved into one of the empty units, and that was November 2013. So in December, Liberty Tax, they started hiring. So it was Liberty Tax right up the street, and yeah, man, I signed up, and basically, you dress up as like the Statue of Liberty. You hold the sign. So I'm doing that. And one day there was this dude, I don't remember his name, but he was a manager, and he was doing tricks with the sign. And I learned a couple of things from him, but a lot of stuff I learned was on my own, just like playing around with the sign and whatnot. So I worked Liberty Tax for, that was 2014, 2015. Okay, 2015 is interesting. 2015, I worked at another Liberty Tax, and it's funny because I used to go on YouTube and look up like Liberty Tax like tricks, and I saw AArrow WSSC 2011. Yeah, and that video freaked me out. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't think it was real. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, it was people spinning the sign in their head, and it was nuts. And I also didn't think that was like reachable. Like, I didn't know where the office was or anything. So one day working at Liberty Tax, I had just learned the helicopter. So it was at night too. Like Mark, he actually walked up. He was like,
old name drop.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him, man. He walked up. He's like, hey, man, can I see the sign? I'm like, sure. Hand him the sign. He starts doing the patty cake. He starts spazzing out, helicopter pop-offs, and he gave me his business card. Was like, join the team. And at that time, I didn't immediately hop on board, 'cause I wanted to finish out the season, the tax season, because it was it was like March, like early March or something like that.
Right.
So I wanted to, finish it out. But one of the workers, one of the tax preparers, they were talking slick, and like the vibe just changed. So I just hopped on board, man, with AArrow.
Wow. I like hearing stories where managers pop out of nowhere, and ask for the sign, all inconspicuous.
Yeah.
It's a great way to sell the idea of joining our team, joining the dark side, I guess you could say.
Right.
Poaching. You said you were going to school, and I wanted to ask for what in particular, and if it related to what you're doing now, or if it was a pursuit that you had in mind straight out of high school. Because I know it's I always thought it was crazy for people to know exactly what they're going to do right out of high school. So were you one of those, or were you like exploring and just trying to get, or maybe getting your GE out the way so you can, see what happens after? Or what was your focus in school?
Okay, so I was a kid that always knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do films, films, acting, screenwriting, editing, all that. That's always something I wanted to do. In high school, man, like I had a rough childhood, man. Like my mom was on drugs. I'm just keeping it 100. She had addiction, and that, like, especially after my grandma passed in 2007, like it just got worse and worse. And like my junior year of high school, I did sports. I did whatever I could to like not be at home. Yeah. And at the time, I was on the football team. That's a whole nother story. But I got invited to a football camp in Canada at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And the plan was I was going to, out of high school, I was going to go there, be a legit student athlete, because I had a love for football, but I also wanted to do the film stuff. That was the plan, but I was only 17 when I graduated, so I had to wait a whole nother year before I can. I had to wait till I was 18 to sign off my own passport, because nobody would sign off on my passport. Yeah. So I ended up going to the LA Southwest College, and I was majoring in creative writing, basically screenwriting, and that's what I went to school for. Yeah.
I've known you for a minute, but I've never put it together that those two elements of your past really did blend together to create the science printer that you were in your time here. I'm saying that because it requires an element of entertainment and an element of athleticism. Yeah. And obviously screenwriting and being in front of a camera is a form of entertainment. You're also born in the right place too, Right, yeah. It's good to hear, like, people taking advantage of opportunities like that, because people will move far and wide to come out here for an opportunity like that. You know what I mean? You know that cinema was considered the second gold rush? Like, obviously there was a gold rush out here in 49 for obvious gold. Yeah. But there was another gold rush out here for cinema because of the weather. Like, it was always sunny, so there was always good lighting. Yeah. And it was far enough away at the time to avoid having to pay, I think, royalties or some kind of commission for using Kodak's camera equipment. Kodak, I think, is based in New York. Crazy side note. The only reason why the Trinity test got out was because radiation from the test site made it all the way to New York to expose their unexposed film. So that's crazy as shit. So, it was far enough to avoid taxes and commissions or royalties or whatever for using the camera, but it wasn't far enough to escape radiation. But my point is, that was the gold rush over here. It was the people were coming over here for the entertainment business. So that's another reason why I think it's advantageous for somebody who was born here to take advantage of that. Right. So Mark found you. Yes. And then you found the competition, blew your mind, didn't know it was accessible. When did you, when was your first comp? All
right, my first WSSC, right? Yeah. I want to say, let's see, I joined in 2016. Yeah, that was my first WSSC. And at the time, man, when I first got in, man, like I was, like I said, it was just crazy because like, also another thing that working for AArrow has done for me, like I'm born and raised in LA, but I grew up in South Central, so like all I know is like Western, Crenshaw, you know, like
Normandy.
yeah, exactly.
All that.
But working for AArrow, yeah, they seen you all over the place, so like it made me realize how big LA really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, man, 2016 was my first comp. And one thing about competition for me personally, like I'm good like on the corner. I'm good like if I do like a video, but like on stage, like I always drop the ball.
Yeah, that's the element that I was afraid of when we did virtual competition. I was afraid that would be removed, and therefore it would minimize my chances of winning, because I would always hope that the people above me would drop it. You know what I'm saying? That was like my hope. It was my way in.
Right.
The reason why I ask is, do you remember like how you felt going into it? Did you feel prepared when you first went to your first WSSC? Was it something you were ready for, or was it something that's like, let's hope for the best?
You know what? At the time, so yeah, I was prepared. I performed. I competed, I want to say, in 3 different WSSCs, and that first one was my best performance because at the time I was fresh in, I was in love, I was learning tricks. Also, I was competing. I think before that I can't remember if it was before. Yeah, I want to say before. Me and like a couple other dudes, like Tyler Cartwright, we made like an online like battle, like sign spinning battle page, and we were battling people, and I won a few battles, so I had a lot of momentum going into the first WSSC. So yeah, man, I was prepared, man. I was confident. You know, I just did the best that I could, you know, being a first timer.
I just wanted to see how unique the experience is for a first time, because I know a lot of first timers are terrified. I was terrified the first time I went out there, right? And so it brings me a sense of comfort to hear other people say that same thing. And I say that because even GSP, Georges St. Pierre, I heard an interview with him recently where he was talking about as calm and as cool and as focused as he is going into the octagon. He admitted that he's scared every time. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. One of us could walk away injured, you know, one of us could have our career ended today.
Right.
And so, I mean, of course, sign spinning's not that extreme, but it's still just as nerve-wracking in some ways. That's like the world stage, you know what I mean? That's like the octagon. That's the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas for us, except it's on Fremont Street.
Yeah, man, it's way different than like just spinning on the corner, or even like the local competitions. Like it's a whole different ball game. I feel like the arena gets smaller and smaller every year. So yeah, man.
Especially with the possibility for getting DQ'd.
Right.
It's sad whenever you see a heavy hitter lose it all just because of the barrier. But I mean, hey, if you're the world's best sign spinner, you know, that shouldn't happen, right?
Right.
Presumably. What made you want to stay at AArrow? Because there's a lot of like we said, there's a lot of opportunity in LA. There's a lot of, I mean, it's one of the biggest cities I guess it's like second to what, New York? That's the kind of shit that makes me feel like scared to live here. You know what I mean? Because like we're a target in some ways for that. But anyway, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of different jobs out here. What made you stick with AArrow for as long as you did? Like, why sign spinning over anything else you could have been doing?
All right, so my job history, I never been a lazy kid, a lazy dude, whatever. Growing up, my stepdad, he did handyman work, and I would go along with him, work. In high school, I was applying for everything, got rejected. Like I said, my first job, freaking terrible. I don't think I explained what my first job was, but basically I was working at at Jesse Owens Park, which is one of the most dangerous parks in South Central LA. And I'll just pick up the golf balls and cleaning them. And like I said, 1 hour a day, no days off, minimum wage. Like, yeah, it was bad. But with sign spinning, that was my AArrow was my first real job for one. And then two, like I just like, you have a boss, you know, there's rules to abide by, but basically when you're out there on the corner, you do your own thing. Like, they're not telling you like what tricks you can and can't do. Yeah. You know, like it's fun, you know, putting a smile on people's faces, getting compliments from the clients, you know, stuff like that. And I just fell in love with that, man. And also coming from like football, that didn't go well for me. Football didn't go well for me, and I'm a competitive person, you know, athletic, whatnot. And sign spinning, it's a sport, you know, like, yeah. And of course, like the growth. I pretty much did everything that I did most of the things I said I was gonna do coming in, because for me, when I work a job, I have the tendency to fall in love, you know, like if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be the best employee possible, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal to me. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're not putting 100% behind this one thing you're doing, what else isn't?
Right.
100%. I think your ascension within the company is a testament to how committed and involved you get with things. Right. Because you went from spinning to competing, and then even for a brief moment, GMing for a minute. Yeah. Right. So, what is your creative process like when you're spinning? Like, did you, I compare sign spinning to rapping a lot. Okay. Or even music in general, because sometimes I feel like some of the tricks I have are like guitar riffs or phrases, right? And sometimes I will select this phrase because it rhymes with that phrase. And that's kind of how I piece together my tricks. Okay. What is your creative process like? Is it similar to that? Is it vastly different? Or are you more of a freestyle artist?
I want to say I'm more of a freestyle. Yeah, definitely freestyle. For me, my arsenal of tricks. So I didn't, starting off, I learned on my own. So the way I do the helicopter is different than the traditional way, you know, we do the helicopter.
I've noticed. You go the other way on the hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If it makes sense to anybody out there, I know that was a weird way to say it, but if you see it, you'll see it.
Yeah, so there's that. Technically, fun fact, I can't do a regular basic spin. Like, when I've learned a basic spin, I did it the opposite way with the opposite hand. So for me, like, it's just freestyle, trying to piece things together where I can, and yeah, it's basically it. Yeah.
You left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed. That's the crazy part. But I spin my helicopter on my left hand. Yeah, so it don't even make sense.
That's trippy. That's cool, man. Because I ride my skateboard the same way. Like, I can ride goofy, but I'll do all my tricks regular. So I have to like switch before I come up a curb. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if I'm bombing a hill, we're good. But as soon as that curb comes up, I gotta switch dances real quick. It's kind of inconvenient, but it works. I guess it works for your style too. Right. It's interesting to think that having a hand difference or a difference in, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. When you prefer one hand over the other, I never realized how much of a difference that would make in sign spinning, because sometimes you learn the tricks mirrored to the person that's right-handed. Right. And going back to our metaphors here, it's like writing with the other hand. Because if you write with your right hand, obviously you're going right to left. But if you write with your left, you're pushing instead of pulling. And I feel like that different sensation conceptually is the same as spinning with the other hand. Yeah. Or going, being right-handed and going spinning with the other. Yeah. It's tricky.
Right.
I'm sure science spinners get it though.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears real quick, and how did you shift from sign spinning to pursuing your other ventures right now? Because I know you got clothes, and I know you got some cinema work going on right now too.
Right. Yeah.
What was the transition like? Was it gradual? Was it something that you were always doing on the side, or was the pandemic like your opportunity to go all in on it?
Okay. All right. So the pandemic was definitely my gateway to doing what I wanted to do from the jump, because at the time, from me moving out of my mom's house to right before the pandemic, like I had a real life, man. Like not saying like like other people don't have real lives, but like I was taking care of myself. Working AArrow, for most of the time, just AArrow, like that was paying the bills. Going to school, like I didn't have time to like really like invest in like my career path. But once the pandemic hit, struggled to find work, but EDD was a thing.
Fortunately.
Yeah, man. Shoot, I'm gonna keep it real, man. EDD carried me through this pandemic, man. And it gave me the time to really put in the work. I had known, the cinema. All right, so I gotta rewind a little bit. I started my clothing brand, Ascension. I started that in 2018, like right after I graduated from El Camino College.
Whoa, that's way back. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, man. Because people tell you, oh, go to school, get a degree, and like you'll live happy ever after.
I hate that shit because nobody tells you the specifics. Like, go to school for what, and then get a job doing what? How do I pay for this? What next? Like, nobody fills you in on that.
Exactly, and I'm not knocking people who go to school. Like I feel like for me, school. I say people, if like you can afford it, go. And fortunate for me, I have financial aid. Coming from poor family background. But other than a degree, the networking, like meeting other students and stuff like that. That's what I got out of it. Like more important than the degree.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, man. And after I got my degree, my life didn't change. I was working AArrow and I was doing security, and I'm like, man, screw this, man. I'm taking matters into my own hands. And then plus in high school, my senior year, I used to make my own like clothes, like custom made beanies and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So it's always something I wanted to do. But I started taking it seriously in 2018. The cinema, I had a friend. His name is Anthony Noble. Shout out to him. He's knee deep into the cinema stuff. I met him like 2019. I got connected with him in 2019, but at that time, I'm knee deep into working and all that other stuff. Yeah. So I never had time to link up with him. But once the pandemic hit, connected with him. We started doing skits together. He introduced me to a bunch of other people, and I just excelled from there. Slowly. I'm still up and coming, but I got some momentum now, and yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I mean it's a good start, man. I think prior to the pandemic, that's a really good point, dude. I think a lot of people were locked in what they were doing. You know what I mean? They couldn't really rearrange their schedule without compromising something. So I think it's good that you took advantage of the pandemic where I know some people may have had some ideas that they wanted to flesh out and they never came to fruition. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right, so I know what I want to talk about, but I hate that I'm going to be switching gears again.
It's fine.
You said that there was a couple lessons that AArrow taught you that you still embody today.
Yeah, most definitely.
What were some of those, and how many of them were not only applicable? Oh yeah, fuck it. Like, what's what lessons did you pick up here that not only apply to your work now, but apply to everyday life?
Okay, yes, that's a good question. All right, so in no particular order. Well, no, I guess the most no particular order. One lesson that I learned specifically through AArrow was basically, so like you said, I was doing GMing for a year, like literally the 2017. Yeah, I was manager from January to December, and man, I learned a lot, man. Managing people. It's technically a 24/7 job, because like you gotta stay in contact with, like, everybody. They come to you for everything at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so patience might be the most important lesson. Having patience. Not freaking out once something comes up, like for example, you might have a day, a big day, a Valvoline day, and somebody might call, or maybe they don't call out. You can't get in contact with them to confirm, and like you can't miss this spot because, like, yeah. So you can't, like, you gotta stay cool. You gotta stay cool, man. You gotta, like, really think. Like, you gotta take the time to think, and just call an audible. You know what I mean? Like, do the best that you can. Whether that's you might have to put a backup there, or you might have to go yourself, or whatever the case may be. So I want to say patience is probably the most important lesson I learned through AArrow. Also learned that like, you're in control of your own destiny. Like I said, I did coming into AArrow. I told myself, man, like, I want to be the best employee. I want to be a manager. I want to make a sale. I want to compete at the WSSC. I pretty much accomplished all those. And that's coming from, like, I'm coming from Liberty Tax, like,
Yeah.
like, so, like, you really are in control of your own destiny, like, the spoken word, like, what you say, like, that's you gotta be careful what you say, because, like, it'll come true, and then all that came true. Yeah. So, that's all AArrow, man. And those are the main two. There's much more, but those are the main two.
I got one to add to that, in terms of, like, getting to the point where, in terms of accomplishing goals, right? Like, where you were talking about competing, then managing, developing a team, and selling. The lesson there is that everybody can be taught, or on the other side of the coin, you can learn just about anything.
Right.
If you thought these tricks were obscure at first, then I bet executing a sale was pretty obscure too. Like, well, what's the first step? Like, oh man. So I think sign spinning gradually teaches you that you can learn something step by step, and you can go from being awestruck by somebody's sign spinning performance to executing your own sign spinning performance on that level, right? Because nobody who showed up to AArrow, I think, showed up looking like a world champion. You know what I mean? Right. They all progress to that level in the same way artists progress, right? I've seen some weird progressions though, where artists will go from creating super hyper realistic works of art to just a straight up black square, and it's like, well, this is progress, So,
right.
So that's one thing. I also think AArrow teaches everybody is that you are teachable, and things as impossible as they may seem, like a Jamaican Me Crazy, right?
Right.
It's doable, right?
Yeah.
With enough practice. I like that you brought up patience, because I feel like I'm always working on patience myself, even when it comes to just managing technology. Right? So it's not just people. Yeah. Sometimes it's losing your cool over technology. And there was one more. Patience. Oh, yeah, not flipping out. Right. That one's also massive from a manager's perspective too, because if you're sitting there freaking out and flipping out, that's that much more time you're not spending on a solution.
Yeah.
Right? All that energy and time that you spent freaking out could have been time and energy spent on resolving it and spending less time in the shit show, for lack of a better word. So I totally remember what I was going to bring up in terms of the pandemic earlier. Everybody jumped on to investing apps during the pandemic. What was that like for you? And how much of it did you catch? Like, did you catch the initial... Well, yeah, because I know there was a wave of speculation and then a wave of... I don't want to say market manipulation, but everybody was saying, like, yo, buy this because it's short, right? And so everybody did. Were you always on Robinhood prior to that, or did you see an opportunity, try to catch the wave, and then, end up here?
Oh yeah, man. So that's interesting. So I was on Robinhood before the pandemic, but I'm just keep honest. I dropped the ball on the whole like stocks. I don't have no stocks right now. I made a lot of dumb decisions in 2020 just out of like not knowing what was gonna happen and like depression and just it was a journey, man. Like I'm in a good like space right now, but 2020 was roller coaster, man. I learned a lot from 2020, but yeah, I missed out on the on the investments, man. Yeah, but it's a lesson learned, like
yeah. It's never a failure if there's a lesson, because you gotta think people pay good money for an education. So if you got a class for free,
right?
All the better. I remember being on Robinhood before the pandemic too, and then seeing how crazy everything got. And I'm not gonna lie, instead of trying to follow it, I got scared. I didn't pull back from anything, but I just definitely wasn't following the trend. I don't know. I feel like I lost money too, even though I didn't like lose money. Like I didn't make any bad investments. I feel like I lost money because I didn't participate in the same thing that everybody came up on with the whole AMC and Sundial thing. I guess the whole market manipulation thing. Right? That was a straight up case of it's not because GameStop was valuable. It's because fools were in on something. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
2020 was definitely a roller coaster. I was kind of worried about how this industry would play out, considering we only do as good as the businesses around us.
Right.
Like if gyms are banging out memberships, it's probably a calling card for us too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with how business is operating, it kind of was freaky to see. I don't know, man. That was the first time I was ever on unemployment too.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was also concerning because I was apprehensive about using some of the unemployment insurance, because I remember at the beginning of this they were saying 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? And I'm like, oh, all right, so we're only gonna be on unemployment for like 2 weeks, right? And then it turned into 2 months, and then it turned into like 2 quarters, right? And now we're going on 2 years, give or take. Well, I mean, granted we're not shut down anymore, but it was just crazy to think, like, is this unemployment money gonna last the entire duration of time, and how short is this gonna be? That was one of the things that was keeping me from certifying. Like, I was only certifying when it was absolutely a pinch, because like I said, if this ends up going into a second year, I don't want to run out of unemployment insurance.
Right, exactly.
Burned it all right away. That shit was crazy, dude. Do you think that this is going to be around, like, the common cold now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not going nowhere. Yeah, no. Yeah, we're stuck.
Damn. I mean, could be worse, I guess. Have you seen the movie Contagion?
No, I haven't.
Oh, damn. Well, it's almost an accurate description of or depiction of what's going on right now. There's even conspiracy theories in it, too. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, your ventures, projects, and goals. I know you recapped your goals for Science Spinning, and you've met all of them. What goals do you have now for your current projects? And are there any projects upcoming, like a book that we don't know about, maybe?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been in the lab, man. So I got the clothing line. I launched it. I started in 2018, but I officially launched it on my birthday, which was August 9th of last month. Last month. So now I'm pushing that out there. As far as cinema goes, one mistake I made in 2020. I was doing it. I was hopping on other people's projects, but I was helping everybody out so much. I never really made time to build up my own to do anything for myself. So, and honestly, I don't even want to say that was a mistake. I mean, it's a learning experience, I had to go through that, but now I have a few videos floating around. Me and my team, we've been working on this web series the past 6 months. We just premiered the first episode on YouTube this past Monday. And then I also have I'm working on being more consistent because I did a Sock and Barbers video 3 months ago, and that video is literally, it's I'm a one-hit wonder almost, bro. That video is what's giving me all my subscribers and all that. So I am working on putting out more content, and I'm trying to put out, because there's a bunch of content creators out there, and for me, I don't want to, right now I'm doing the funny stuff, but eventually I want to get to some satire and some stuff with some more substance, something with a message, maybe less comedy, more drama, somewhere along the line. And then as far as books, I am working on a memoir.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to reveal the name of it yet. It's a cold title, but basically it's a memoir about from birth to me moving out of my mom's house, because a lot of growing up was a roller coaster ride as well for me, because there were good times and a lot of bad times, and for the most part I made it through. I'm still going through stuff now, but nowhere near as bad as growing up. I was pretty much forced to move out of my mom's house due to her drug addiction. So, that with that memoir, and the original plan was to have the manuscript finished by this year, but I'm not quite on the level. I'm not quite on the level that I want to be yet. People are paying attention and stuff now, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is I'm going to put out the book later on, when I get to when I'm a bigger influence on people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it becomes kind of how could I put it? Something I don't know. I guess when you have I know what you're trying to say, though. It's trying to sell your action figure once you have a following. It's something else to collect that's a piece of your creation.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I want people, if I put out now, I have a cool I got a decent support system, like people that really rock with me, you know. But if I put it out and, you know, like I've achieved like my goals as like a content creator and all that, I'll be able to reach more people. And, you know, basically a memoir is just showing it's mainly for the youth, man. I want people who grew up like me or who are growing up like how I did to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Touching on the youth thing, that's really one of the reasons why I ask about the book, because going back to what we were saying about coming out of high school and not knowing what to do.
Right.
I feel like books like these could give somebody else a sense of direction who is in a similar situation or doesn't know what they want to do or what is possible.
Right.
I think people pursuing their ambitions is a good example for that audience we just brought up. Would you say that your struggles made you who you were or who you are today? And I say that because, or I ask that because, kind of a big Star Trek nerd, right? Okay. And there's this scene, there's a particular movie where they pick up, I guess you can call him a shaman, right? Turns out it's, spoiler alert, it's Spock's brother. Okay. Right? So homeboy's going around alleviating everybody from their pain, right? From their suffering. Like whatever you're suffering, whatever you're going through, I'll remove you from it. And there comes a scene where he comes up to Kirk, right? And he's like, let me see your pain. And he was like, no, I need my pain. Like, it made me who I am. It shaped my opinions. He's pretty much saying that, like, if it wasn't for my struggles, I wouldn't be capable of making the decisions I make today. I wouldn't be able to get past the obstacles I experience today. And I've heard this expression before with a chick and an egg, right? And you're not supposed to help the chick escape or crack the egg, because then you're not allowing the chick to struggle and generate the strength and confidence it needs to approach the rest of life. Because if you think this eggshell is hard, boy, yeah. Wait until you experience the other shit. So would you say that your struggles paradoxically boosted you forward, or would you say that they held you back a little bit? Because you seem like you had to grow up. I mean, I didn't want to call you old, but you seem like you grew up faster than you had to, and therefore there's a lot of things about you that are like what some other people might call an old soul. You know what I mean? I think that just comes with wisdom, to be honest. Yeah. Like, especially if you're wise beyond your years. I think that's me seeing who the struggle turned you into.
Yeah, most definitely. So to answer your question, the struggle definitely made me who I am, and of course, like I wouldn't change anything because I had to go through that to get where I am. And plus, like nobody wants to hear a success a success story from a person that never went through anything. You know what I mean?
Boring
like,
as hell.
Exactly. Like, you know, like how you gonna teach me how you gonna talk to me about stretching $20 for 2 weeks when you never have to do that? You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
And you know, I mean, of course, like anybody, like if I go back in time and I have no knowledge of what's gonna happen in the future, of course, like you don't want to be going through that. But you know what I mean? Like when you get through that, you know, like it makes you a better person. You know what I mean? So you gotta go through something to, you know, to get to where you need to be.
Damn. Are you familiar with David Goggins?
No, man, I'm bad with names, man.
He's a retired SEAL, and his whole thing is to do something that sucks every day in order to strengthen your mind. So whenever something happens to you that does suck, like truly sucks, you're a little more prepared for it. It's like, oh, well, I've been doing worse my whole life. This isn't anything new. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, I hate that brain fart. I started thinking about David Goggins, and I forgot what I was thinking about before that. Damn. Well, in the meantime, is there anything you wanted to bring up? Anything you wanted to cover that I might have overlooked?
Yeah, I did want to say, to add on to something I learned from AArrow, one of the lessons is leading by example. So, of course, like, as we discussed, you don't want to be freaking out for too long because, like you said, it takes away from us finding a solution. But at the same time, there are people that are watching, you know what I mean? Like, especially, like, if, you're in a position like how I was as a manager, you're in this top position, like, people are going to follow after, you know what I mean? So you can't be, going off and all that stuff. Growing up, like, like last year, I spent like maybe 3 hours like going through my Facebook, just deleting all these crazy posts from like when I was a younger bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm just posting all my emotions.
I wish you didn't go there.
You know what I mean? Like, I had to clean that up because it's like that's not an example that like I want to leave, bro. Like, like everybody's gonna go through stuff. You know what I mean? Don't post. You don't complain in public. You know what I mean? Like, you go, Christian. Shout out to him, man. Big shout out to him, man. Like, I learned a lot from him. He stopped me from getting a student loan. Thank goodness. He told me, because of course there's stuff that happens as a manager that you have no control over, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, go in the corner, scream for like a couple of minutes, and then get back to it. You know what I mean? And I think that's something people need to like. They need to do that. It's like don't yeah.
Yeah, man. I recently heard a story. It's kind of parallel to that, where this dude, he was a freshman in college, and he saw 9/11 happen, right? And it was in that moment, like a day later, he called his parents and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to finish this semester. I think I'm just going to go enlist." And one of the first things his parents told him was, "Don't act emotionally,
right?
But think it through, and then act rationally later."
Right.
So, leading by example, you know what I mean? Like thinking about the long-term effects of what you're doing right now, and don't act on emotion. Like, don't freak out on an employee over a call out. You know what I mean? Those are big ones, because sometimes I'll see shit hit the fan for my superiors, and I'll see how they don't freak out. Right. And the way they respond to messages is still super professional, and it's admirable. It's something to look up to. It's like, damn, bro, that's not how I responded last time. I need to work on myself.
Right, yeah.
I mean? It's just comical, man. Hindsight's super 2020. Don't remember where I was going with that either. I was just thinking about how funny that was to see the difference between us and our superior. Oh, okay, that's where I was going with that. Sometimes our superiors freak out just as much as we do. Do you know who, I hate to name drop again on you, but do you know who Marcus Luttrell is? He's another Navy SEAL, or like another retired SEAL.
Okay, I don't know, I'm sorry.
I saw a conversation with this fool where he was talking about, he's the lone survivor, right? He's the character that the movie The Lone Survivor is based on. Yeah. So if you get a chance, you can pretty much catch like a 2 or 3 hour synopsis of his career in that movie. So to summarize it, and not to spoil the movie, but him and his platoon, his whole team, they get wrecked. And despite losing most of his team, if not all his team, him being the lone survivor, he goes back and redeploys to Afghanistan again. Because his thing is like, I'm from Texas, where I'm from. Like, you get your ass kicked, you go back.
Yeah.
So he goes back. They get into this crazy ass firefight, right? And after everything's said and done and the smoke settles and the dust clears, I said that backwards. After everything is said and done, the smoke clears and the dust settles. One of the people under him walks up to him. He's like, "Damn, bro, when shit hit the fan, I was freaking out, but then I saw how like calm, cool, and collected you were, and how you just acted according to plan. Like it inspired me to just, remember my training. Right. And he said that when he was looking back on that, he was tripping out on his guy telling him that, because he was saying in my head, like as soon as that first bullet shot, or as soon as that first bullet hit the wall, I was like, what the hell am I doing back here?
Right, yeah.
In his head. But then he compared it to being in a fight, like a UFC fight. Like once you get punched in the face, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm a UFC fighter. And then it just went back to normal. But that's that example of leading by example, or influencing the people around you. It just kind of reminded me of that Marcus Luttrell story, where he was really freaking out inside and wondering, what the hell am I doing here? Right. But then kept it together, realized that there is a board that's looking up to him, and he acted accordingly. So that's a cool lesson to draw from AArrow too, especially because I always thought I would join the service, like the Air Force, and I never did. So I guess this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, man. I wanna elaborate on the patience and staying calm and all that, because like I mentioned before the pandemic, I was doing AArrow and security, and throughout my entire security career, like that was like the most important was composure. You know what I mean? Because there's, I'm a dude that can handle myself. I'm no like Bruce Lee or nothing, but I handle a regular person, whatever. There's plenty of times where you could probably take it there, but you don't, because like you don't know what might happen next. And staying calm 99.9% of the time is like you end up getting the result that you want. You know what I mean? For example, there's a story, and this is the craziest. Yeah, this is one of the craziest stories. All right. But basically, I was working at this bar. I was a veteran there as far as like security staff. Yeah. At the end of the night, there was this dude. Dude looked like Brock Lesnar, like no exaggeration, and all his crew was yoked up too. And basically, the bartender, he had got into it with the dude. He wanted me and my partner to kick him out. And, my go-to is like, hey, man, I got to kick you out. It's nothing personal. You come back tomorrow, but you got to go. Very polite. Yeah. And
even reasonable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, the bartender was, he was in the wrong. Like, he was, telling us, like, get him the fuck up out of here, and, all that other stuff, like, and, like, bro, like, it's only 2 security guards and like, 12 of these Brock Lesnar fools, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and what made it worse, because basically what happened was he was trying to swipe his card, and it didn't go through. But what made it worse, the manager came, put the info in manually, and it got approved. So you did all that yelling, cussing for nothing. Wow. This dude's pissed off. I'm right next to this dude, Brock Lesnar. I'm probably not winning a one-on-one fight with this dude, but I'm standing here. I got my hand on his shoulder. He's telling me not to touch him. Like, look, man, I'm just doing my job. You know what I mean? Like, I'm being calm. You know what I mean? And granted, I'm not I'm not really scared. Like, but it's, I wasn't like scared because I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's the whole staying calm, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just gotta do what you can, because the other option is, like I drag him and then we getting packed out. So, but cooler heads prevailed, and him and his people left with nobody getting hurt. You know what I mean? So that lesson from AArrow helped me survive my 2.5 years of security, both in the hood. Cause that's where I started, like at like parties, like parties, and then like legit, like corporate, whatever you want to call it, like at the bar. Yeah. So yeah.
Paycheck events with taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think it's important to keep cool just because in traffic too, man. I think it helps to assume. It helps to assume. I don't want to say stupidity because I feel like stupid's a harsh word, but it's better to assume stupidity before malice, right? Like, there's a good chance somebody just didn't know any better instead of them trying to commit some wrongdoing against you.
Right, exactly.
Right? So same thing when it comes to like call offs or somebody not confirming. I know I've seen some people like their go-to is to flip out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But sometimes flipping out looks really bad when you realize that this person just didn't know any better. Like, oh, I didn't know I had to push this. I thought that doing that was enough, right?
Right.
And it's not like they meant to do anything wrong. It's just they didn't know any better. So sometimes I feel like staying calm helps prevent the awkward feeling of, that feeling you get after you flipped out and you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I think that's where assuming stupidity over malice works out a lot better. There was this one time I almost got run over by a car just crossing the street, but I swear to God, it looked like they were coming right at me, like with intent. You know what I mean? Because I'm like looking at them dead through their windshield, and it's like,
yeah,
you see this happening, right?
Yeah,
like, are you doing this on purpose? And well, to summarize that story, I dodged it, but they came back around and they're like, oh my God, I didn't even see you. I am so sorry that happened. And so that was a good lesson in assume stupidity over malice. Like, they weren't really trying to kill me. They weren't going for me like, get it out of the street. You know what I mean? They just legit didn't see me or didn't know any better. It was yeah, man. Helps not to flip out.
Yeah, man. It'll take you a long way, man.
Yeah.
Like, of course, there will be times where you'll have to flip out, but, like 99 point, most of the time, cooler heads prevail.
Big lesson, man. It's crazy how many of those life lessons came from AArrow, too.
Yeah, man.
I'm trying to think of another one. I feel like some of these, they're easier to fall for when you're younger. You know what I mean? Like flipping out. I think it's easier not to flip out when you've had that experience of feeling super awkward afterwards.
Right.
Or it's easier to quit vices once you've had that awkward feeling afterwards. Like, damn, I said I wasn't going to drink and I did. Right. Sometimes those feelings are motivating and they'll actually help you accomplish your goal later on. But I think we're approaching an hour right now. And I don't know how much time you got left. But usually I try not to go over an hour just for technological reasons.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's all good, man.
Yeah. Before we conclude, is there any other last things you wanted to squeeze out? Maybe some plugs, something to follow. Maybe throw out your YouTube handle, Instagram handle, or something.
Sure. I was looking at the camera.
Yeah, you can, either one of them.
Okay, yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Angelino. That's MrAngeleno. My YouTube channel, Mr. Angelino. Twitter, Mr. Angelino 1. If you want, that's about it. That's about it, yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, dude, you know what? I do want to talk about one more thing.
For sure.
Your Sock'em Boppers video. I was thinking about that, and then we got deep on something else about it. But I wanted to talk about the Sock'em Boppers video and the Booty Call video.
Okay, yeah.
Because both of them, I think one of the reasons why the Sock'em Boppers video did so well is because you touched on something a lot of people had in common. A lot of people experienced Sock'em Boppers, you know what I mean? And everything that came with it.
Yeah.
From the deflating aspect of keeping them around for too long to, punching your friend just a little too hard, and now it just develops into a full-blown socking match. But I think that one blew up because it touched on something that was real, something nostalgic to everybody. And that's one of the things I noticed in the comment section too, is that everybody was here because they were looking at nostalgic things in regards to Sock'em Boppers, and it brought them to your video too. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, man, I would just say keep up with the observational humor. That shit's kicking ass. Let me know when you get a new hat drop.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, man, soccer bopping is crazy because, like I said before, I was doing everything for everybody else. When it came to me, either an attitude or people just flake all together or whatever the case may be. And shout out to my boy Ramon, man. That dude is so talented. He's like he's the next big thing, man, as far as like acting and Hollywood and all that stuff.
Right.
But he could be one of those, oh, I'm too busy, or like, you know, he doesn't respond, but he's not that type of dude, man. He's a genuine human being. Came through for Sock and Boppers. We did that. We made a hit. And when I came up with the idea, you know, yeah, I grew up on Sock and Boppers as well, but also I did my research, man, because like I'm getting tired of like a lot of people are just like copy and pasting, man. Like, I mean, technically nothing's original, but you know, like nobody has done a Sock and Boppers video like in the past like few years or even more, you know what I mean? So all right, man, Sock and Boppers is perfect. You know, I got to get this out there, and boom, like you see the results.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I'm trying to do a lot of that, which is another reason why like it's been kind of hard for me to be consistent, but I'm working on that as well, man. I coming up with a game plan. Been in the lab, learning everything, man. Cameras, sound, lighting, like it's a lot, man. So I will not disappoint.
I learned that a lot. I learned that the hard way, man. It is a lot. It's Alright, so sometimes I'll watch a YouTube video that's like 2 or 3 minutes long, right? And I never knew that could have taken them like 3 hours to film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fun fact, Booty Call was...
That was probably a couple days.
Yeah, it was it was 2 days. Yeah, it was definitely a 2-day shoot. And then, yeah, it was 2-day shoot. In total, probably like 4.5 hours.
Damn.
And it's only 2 minutes some change video. Like, it's only 2 minutes and a few seconds.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, man.
I see why they bring coffee and snacks on set now. You know what I mean?
Oh
you
yeah,
have no
man.
idea how long you're gonna be there.
Yeah, bro. Like you got at bare minimum, you got to feed your people, man. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to take care of your people. Like, and that's another thing AArrow taught me. Take care of your people, they'll take care of you. You know what I mean? Like when I was managing, it was crazy. Like most of my friends, like turned their back on me, but like, you know, I always like try to compromise for everybody, you know, bonuses, if this person's like being consistent and they always asking for hours, all right, you get first dibs, you know, stuff like that, working around people's schedule, you know, you take care of them, they take care of you, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
I wanted to add to that.
I can't believe I forgot that one. That might be the most important, or number 2.
There we go. Tony Stark. Not Tony Stark. Wow, Jesus Christ. I don't even know his real name. I just know this fool is Iron Man now. Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Word on the street is that fool would also just like buy catering for everybody, even though that wasn't his job. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's cool. Oh my God. There was something else I wanted to elaborate on. Going back to nostalgia though. Remember Skip It and Moon Boots?
Oh yeah, man.
That
You
was
might
like
edit
same time.
Edit this part out.
Damn, dude. There was really I should just write these down as I'm going. But you know, I'm trying not to write things down because I got this book recently called Remember It, and this fool, it was written by like a memory champion. This fool goes to like memory contests, memorize like a whole deck of cards in like a minute, and can recite it back to you. And I'm trying to get better at taking mental notes by using some of the techniques from this book. It's not working though. I just think I need to practice harder. Man, it was going back to all that creative stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like the concept of that book, but I write everything down. I remember it too, but I write everything down. Like
Not the good thing, man.
plus writing it down, you're more likely to like do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Writing's a lost art too.
yeah,
Like, I don't know why we learned cursive anymore. You know what I mean? I
Right.
never used that shit. And I don't think kids are being taught that today. It would have been far more beneficial for them to teach us how to type at a young age.
yeah.
That's what's crazy. Oh, okay. I was going to talk about politics because you were talking about how, this is the last thing I wanted. This is the last little note that I took in my head. You were talking about how you're going to teach me to stretch $20 when you ain't never stretched $20 yourself.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons why it's important for politics or politicians to have been in our shoes, because a lot of them being career politicians or coming from a family of politics, or even coming from a family that has had a little more opportunity, it disconnects them from the people that they're supposed to be serving.
Right.
And going with that analogy, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we see so many shortcomings in our society today, because there's such a detachment between the leaders we elect and the people they're trying to serve.
Right.
So if they've never been in the impoverished situation that a lot of people have now entered as a result of the pandemic, I don't think it's a good idea for them to be saying what's best to happen later on. I'm worried about inflation, low-key, because all that free money and all that printed money, I mean, how valuable is your holographic Charizard if we just printed another 300,000 of them? You know what I'm saying? So what's the value of our dollar look like long-term now? So didn't mean to go too off track with that, but I just wanted to elaborate on the idea of how you're going to teach me to stretch a 20 when you've never done it yourself. And that's kind of the political environment we're in right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's sad, man. Actually, like,
Do you think you'll ever run for a position, or do you think it's too much pressure? Because as much as I would like to run, and like as much as I think I can fix something, I would hate to be blamed for something else that I didn't see. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, we're living good. Minimum wage is 25, but you see this shit Joey did? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Would you ever feel compelled to serve your community like that? Like by becoming a council member or something of that nature?
Man, that's a good question, but the answer is no, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's not my calling, man. Honestly, like even now, what I do, like another thing the pandemic has given me the opportunity to do. Every Wednesday, I go and volunteer at the food bank, passing out food to, whoever needs it. And a lot of people need it, man. Especially now. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I would, and I really want to help on a more of a grander scale, but you do what you can. You know what I mean? And I don't care to be a politician. But what I do care is in the future, one day, I got this idea from my auntie actually, but I would like to maybe start a nonprofit, and like something to like help like the youth like coming out of high school, like people who I don't want to just say creatives, but because coming out of high school, going to college or whatever you go into, man, like nobody, like I said, me, I always knew what I wanted to do, but a lot of people don't know what they want to do and they get led astray. Yeah. I want to create some type of nonprofit to like help people like achieve their dreams. The less fortunate, of course, like myself. Maybe provide something along those lines, like. But yeah, politics, no, not for me.
Damn, I would almost argue that what you suggested is more important than politics, because I can't fathom how many solutions to world problems weren't or haven't come to fruition just because they were too occupied trying to survive, right? Like, I like what you're saying about helping those with less opportunity, because sometimes right out of high school, you don't have the opportunity to go to school because you're so, like we said earlier, locked in to maybe 2 jobs and some family responsibilities, right, to where if you make any kind of compromise on any of those, your whole system collapses.
Yeah.
Right. So if a nonprofit can somehow get people steady enough to begin exploring all the other creative right things that they're thinking about, or all the solutions that they're thinking about, then maybe we could be a better society. Yeah. We could have a better civilization. It makes me wonder what universal basic income would do, because I'm not for or against it. I don't think I've done enough research in either direction to have an opinion on it. Yeah. But I do like to think in terms of Star Trek, where they're in the age of surplus and beyond the age of scarcity. So instead of everybody trying to work towards providing for themselves and meeting their needs, everybody's just working on making life better. Right. Instead of focusing on like, oh, where's my next meal coming from? I need to go do this job in order to put food on my table. It's more like food's taken care of, shelter's taken care of. Right. My mind is now free and unoccupied to go do more ambitious things. Yeah. That was kind of the idea behind a lot of the megalithic structures we see in the past, or in ancient history, like the pyramids, for example. The whole reason why we see structures like that is because of something like agriculture. Instead of having to go hunt and gather our food, we were able to grow our own food and therefore free up some time to do some other shit, like build pyramids. But yeah, man, that's cool. I like the idea behind the nonprofit. I remember being a kid right out of high school, also having 2 jobs and being like, all right, so how do we put school in this? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's tough, especially you trying to you trying to pursue a creative endeavor, you know, like, because everything else, like going to school is really, like, I'm not knocking people who go to school to like be doctors and lawyers and
stuff, by no means. Yeah, we need those.
Yeah, we need those, but like, you know, like, we need some diversity, man. Like, there's people that, you know, want to be entrepreneurs and stuff like that, you know, but nobody really, like, the system isn't really like designed to help people, you know, pursue that. You know? Like, that's something you got do on your own, like I did. Yeah. You know, so
the system really is designed to produce more employees than employers, right? Because we just heard it. Go to school, get a good job. Nobody's told you like, yo, find a solution to a problem and you have a job for life. Or as you said earlier, that's just not my calling. I find it sad when people try to pursue something purely for the money. Like they try to become a doctor or a lawyer and now they're terrible at it because that wasn't their calling, that wasn't their passion. That was just something that they wanted to do for the money. Right. So, yeah, I think that's another lesson here. Follow your calling, not the money. The money comes later. Yeah. Like if you do something well enough, people will pay you for it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a good note to end this on.
Yeah, man.
Well, yeah, man, again, appreciate you doing this. It was super insightful. I feel like I learned something every time I do this, and it was crazy to... Yeah, I don't know, man. You're just wise as shit.
I appreciate it, man.
Me too, man. I appreciate you doing this. So, I guess, bye, everybody.
Peace out.